Hello everybody and welcome back to Tlatoani, where last episode we got this cistern online over here. So we've got these two cisterns going, and that is great for this area of the city. Not so great for everywhere else at this point. We can easily put cisterns over here. It'll be a little bit tougher out over this way for sure. I'm not sure how we would run the aqueduct for that without messing up our ficus trees here, so we'd have to think about that, maybe running it out this direction in some way, but there's a lot of ficus back here that we could theoretically take advantage of. But, to be honest, we're probably not going to, because we're doing fine on our axe monies. Our cotton exports are still insane, for the record. Still just absolutely bonkers. So we'll cruise on forward for now. Our prestige is at 43 out of 50. I think just getting our prosperity and our culture up will likely get our prestige up. So what do we need to do? Well, prosperity coming up would be pretty nice. So we don't have any debt right now. There is some destitution. Where? Let's see here. Do we have a destitution or like a prosperity information overlay? Goods used? No, that's not all that useful. There's some nutrition over here. Ah, these guys over here. That's probably a big issue. That's definitely a big issue. Okay, we'll deal with that in a moment. I just want to check out all of this up over here. This market is at 70% use. This guy is not reaching this market. That's mildly surprising to me, but only mildly. Okay, let's fix some of these issues. So issue number one, I think we can fix just by doing that. That should give us access to this small market. Issue number two, these guys need their own market. That's very, very clear. So we can put in a market about right here. That'll reach all of those houses down there. And it's likely also reached by this granary. Yeah, so that should be absolutely fine. We'll get that going. Do we have any pottery down here? I don't think so, but we can be getting pottery in this porter yard. So that'll be fine for right now. That'll boost our prosperity somewhat. So what else do we have going on here? That's our nutrition. Here's our water supply. We don't have any water down here either. That's a pretty easy fix. We could put a cistern down here somewhere and run an aqueduct over here. That's not a problem. We can just run the aqueduct parallel to this road. So that would mean running aqueduct something like this, right? Down like that. And then we'd have aqueduct causeway here and here. And we'd be able to just reach it from this existing road. And then we could just put a cistern right down over here. And we could use that to find out if this has to be connected right at that yellow point there. See where it has those connection points? I assume that's where that has to be connected. If this works, great. If it doesn't work, all we need to do is put an aqueduct there, and I expect it to not work. So we can put a cistern in there, and then we can run stone road right along here, and that'll provide clean water, like fresh water, not just basic water to this area. So this up over here has basic water at this point, and the cistern wouldn't reach all the way up over here. We could think about putting another cistern in right over here and running an aqueduct up, but for now, I'm going to hold off on that. This is already a fairly extensive stone outlay, and let's get this completed first. So that looks good. We definitely need access to water over here. So we've got this upgraded to stone road, and this needs 188 stone. Should be reasonably fine. This is very, very close to a number of porter yards, so it shouldn't take nearly as long as it did to get all of this built up. And we can also take these out of here. This is not necessary. That was just a quick experiment. So that's absolutely fine to be removed. Looks like they might be going to do it right now. Beautiful. Looks like it removed this section of road right here. Let's make sure that's in there. Cool. So that's being removed at this point, and I think we get at least some of that stone back. So hopefully that stone gets used to be up over here. Again, I don't expect this to work right away. I expect to have to put another section of aqueduct right here. And the cistern isn't built yet. Everything else here is. There's the cistern built. And yeah, it's definitely not filled. So let's put one more aqueduct here. You can see it turns a corner there, and I think it has to connect at least to the aqueduct there. I'm not sure if piping can maybe connect anywhere. But let's get that one last bit of aqueduct in. Eventually. Maybe. One of these days, someone will come build it. But we do need quite a lot of stone still. Like, we can look at where our stone is, and we can see, yeah, there's a lot of porter yards here that are intended to have stone in them that just don't at this time. We need our stone to proliferate, but I see that there is stone here. So hopefully they'll actually build this aqueduct here. That's fairly necessary. One of these days. Right? Maybe. Emphasis on maybe. So let's bring this back to the correct camera angle, or the camera angle we're most used to. And this is absolutely fine. So we need access to water here, but at least we have access to food now that we have this market. That's wonderful. There we go. Now we've got water here. So we've got this cistern providing water here, and it looks like it hasn't updated yet, but this should be updating to, at this point, good water quality, I think is what it's called. Let's see. Yeah, good water quality. So that'll be great once that actually updates, but it hasn't yet. That usually takes a little while. So this up over here, we've got some ambience. That's fine. We also need cloth out over here. So one thing I want to do is I want to have this be up to getting cloth. And then this up here, we actually have space for that too. So we can be getting cloth here. That looks good. And I want to check in. How much cloth do we have on hand? Balance of -6. So we clearly need more cloth weavers, and that's not very surprising. I want them to be up in the same sort of area because we know that we know that we have Megui here and we're accepting cloth here. So it's going to take some time for that cloth to make its way around. I'm assuming, yeah, we have cloth here. This needs pottery up over this way, so it's currently accessing this market, and that market doesn't have any pottery in it. We can definitely be at pottery and cloth here, so we're getting pottery and cloth there. That'll be fine. That'll help us upgrade some of these areas. So down over here, we know that we just got cloth here. We're accepting cotton. Right, from these cotton weavers over here. Okay. So we're getting cloth, but is there any pottery up in this area? Yes, we're getting pottery here. That's being served here, and that doesn't quite reach this market down over here, but that's fine. This porter yard is also not getting pottery. Sure, we are getting pottery here, though, so that'll be okay. Getting better water up over here would definitely be a useful thing, but we'll see how much of that we actually need. We're short of common workers, we're short of elite workers, and unemployment is becoming a problem. So we may want to consider building some mason yards. I'm going to do one here. This is about maintaining our aqueducts. So I'm going to put in a mason yard here. I'm going to put in a mason yard here. I'm going to put one in here. And I'm going to put one in up here, although that's a very long ways away from being able to access any of this. One thing we may want to think about doing is taking a road out over here. This isn't actually going to work here. We would need to do it somewhere else. What I wanted to do was connect this up over here so that this is actually connecting. The main problem with that is it would have to connect here, right? So we'd need to do like a causeway right there. And then this would have to then be a bridge like that. And that's okay. We can do that. So that'll take a little bit of time to get that built, but that's absolutely fine. Some of our pending structures are impossible to reach, but that's just this. And this will get us some extra jobs going in anyway. Although I suspect that this mason yard is going to have a hard time getting, or at least some of these mason yards are going to have a hard time getting resources. So we're probably going to need to also build a porter yard next to some of these. So I'm going to do that. We're going to do that here and here. Although, no, there's not a porter yard super close to this one. And then down here, there is a porter yard. So that seems okay. This is a long way away from housing. That's understood. And this has access to those porter yards. So this is going to need to be clay, stone, and timber. And we're going to be getting all of those. This one over here, again, clay, stone, and timber. And we're going to be getting those. So that seems good. And this is about being able to better maintain the aqueducts again. So that'll be absolutely fine. Crowding is becoming a problem, and that means that we want to get another housing development going, probably... Actually, down over here is not a terrible place to put in some additional housing. So that would be like here and here and here for right now. We'll get 3 houses in here. Okay, so that'll be fine. And we'll have some people start to move in there. I want to upgrade more of these houses, though, and that'll be good. So we can see that some of these are up to 14 of 14 commoners, and that's great. Ambience here, huh? Well, we could absolutely put in a gardener somewhere and start filling out some of this with gardens. That's not a bad idea. So we could put in a gardener, say, here. And just start putting in some small gardens here, here. Gardens over this way. Gardens if we can reach up here. Looks like we can. That's great. And gardens over here, gardens over here. All of this can be gardened. Looks like we can't quite reach up over that way. That's fine. I don't know how many that is. That's 19? Okay, well, we can do something like that. We can garden some down over this way. That's 27, 28, 29, and 30. So that'll do. That'll increase the ambience in some of these areas. We can also go through and make all of this up here be stone road. That'll also increase the ambience here significantly. So that's not a bad idea to do. Everything up over here and out over this way can all be stone. Checking in up over this way. Yeah, that's pretty much all stone there. This can come down like that, and then that's all stone. This can be stone over here now, and then we can just have it go down something like this. We don't need this to go literally everywhere with the stone road, but I at least want to surround these houses, so just something kind of like that. And then there's this out over here. So we can certainly continue to upgrade some of this with stone road, increase the ambience out over here a bit. So that'll be something along the lines of that. I don't know where these roads go here. Let's see. Sure, like that. Okay, that looks pretty decent there. So we'll get that going. Excellent. So with all of that underway, that's going to take some time. And some stone. How much stone is that going to take, in fact? Okay, yeah, that'll take like 700 stone. That's a decent chunk of stone. Not gonna lie. But it will be good to have another gardener online, and that gardener will be able to deliver herbs somewhere, in theory. Maybe. So that would be good. Our prosperity is up to 57 out of 70 now, and we're just continuing to work on bringing that up. We can also start working on increasing the ambience down over here, but I'm interested in seeing about getting these all up to 14 of 14, which I think is the maximum amount. So they're still complaining about ambience here. We have stone roads, and these gardens are not fully built yet. So that's probably the core issue there, is we're waiting on those gardens to be built. I'm expecting the ambience here will go up. Yeah, there we go. Has everything it needs for the moment. So that looks good. These have everything they need. They'll get upgraded soon enough. Improvements are under construction. So these houses are definitely improving over here. We've still got some ambience here. Civil service out over this way. We could maybe think about fitting in a collector somewhere about here. And that'll reach almost all of this area. It doesn't quite reach this house, which is still not reaching a market, apparently. Even with this connection here, that's surprising to me. Oh, this road isn't fully built yet. Maybe that's why. No, it's just originating from here. That's the issue. Awkward. Very awkward indeed. We could just put up a new market somewhere around here and remove these roads, because to be honest, we don't need them. If that's not giving a connection here, we don't need those roads. So we'll do that for now, and that will get us a market access out over here. This market can still reach this granary, so no issue there. And water quality out here right now is basic, but we can absolutely think about putting a cistern in up over here, which would be right here. And that'll reach pretty much all of this. We just want to upgrade this to stone road so that it can pipe all the way through here. And that goes just like that. And then that cistern will be able to pipe this entire area. So that looks good. We'll get that completed, and once that's done, this will be much better. But we are, of course, going to need an aqueduct connection over here. So we're going to need to bring in our aqueduct. I think right here is the exact position we want that. There we go. And that should be fine, in theory. I'm wondering if that's going to break the connection up here, and if we have to pipe the water this way, and then it doesn't want to come up over here as far. I don't know. That'll be interesting. Some of our security venues are overstretched. Okay, let's take a quick look at our security map mode, so crime and vice. This barracks is overstretched. That's fair enough. I don't know what Windows is throwing a fit about. It didn't actually pop anything up in the corner, but apparently Windows is upset about something. Cool. Thanks, Windows. And I don't want to tab out to find out, because that can break OBS. So we're not going to be doing that, and instead I want to think about maybe another barracks somewhere around over here. This barracks is overstretched. So another barracks here is probably, or rather this fortress is overstretched. Another fortress over here is probably not a bad idea. This will remove a fair amount of the forest over here, but this Sawyer can reach a fair number of trees. So I'm not too concerned about that. We can always move the Sawyer if we need to. So let's just get that in there. That'll be absolutely fine. That'll help this fortress. So that looks good. Our prestige is at 46 out of 50 at this point. Prosperity is up to 60 out of 70, and our culture is at 54 out of 60. So why is our culture low at this point? City diversion. I mean, that's probably fair enough. So let's take a look at our current diversion setup. It's not a lot. Down over here, I definitely think we should put in an alcove. Nothing major, nothing fancy, just a singular alcove. Actually, here, that works fine. So we'll get that in there, no problem there. Some of our soldiers lack supplies. Really? Where? We may need to put in another blade napper and armorer pair somewhere. I'm guessing it's down here. Yeah, it is. So we could put in a blade napper and armorer somewhere. We currently have them up here, and that's where the obsidian is. So I kind of want to have it also be up here. The obsidian comes in here. So we can absolutely think about putting in... I'm going to do 2 of each. So I'm going to do 2 armorers, 1 here and 1 here. And then I'm going to do 2 blade nappers, 1 here and 1 here. And then we're going to extend this road out. This is wanting to be here. Sure, that's fine. But that does mean that these blade nappers are going to need a road coming in like this. Once again, that's cutting into the forest a little bit. It's okay. So we'll get that done, no problem there. That'll get us a couple more jobs as well, which we do definitely need jobs. And we're still doing well on our food production, so no issues there. Everything is looking good for now. We're getting very, very close to getting this city completed. And of course, we see that this steam bath up here is currently strained. Apparently that's the upgrade to the sauna. That's interesting. Do we have a sauna out over this way? Yes, we do. Okay. So we need a lot of stone out over this direction. It's not surprising that we burned through our stone. We've been doing some stone-heavy construction lately. So that's fine for the moment. And let's see what else we've got for diversion here. We could use some diversion here. I wonder... We've got this alcove here. I wonder if an alcove here might reach. It's a bit of a stretch. Almost no one is using this alcove, which is understandable. But that would definitely be an interesting question. So let's go into here and let's see. Yeah, that's not going to reach from there. We could knock back the terrain over here a bit. So what that would end up looking like is we just take this back ever so slightly. Bandits have been beaten? Sure. So the idea behind this is that I want to take back some terrain out over here. We're removing these canals for the moment. We'll put them in again later. I want to get this one out of here. And we're going to put in new canals. These are going to be stone canals. And they're going to be right up over here for now. And then I'm going to bring this in and have this come in like this. But we still want to have canals here, actually, because we need the irrigation for this farm. So it'll be something like that, and this is absolutely fine, although this should actually come out one further. So that's going to go to right there, because we're going to need a bridge crossing this canal, and then this entire area here will need to be chinampa'd. So we'll do chinampas in all of this area, like that. That's going to free us up a lot of additional space, with the idea being we put an alcove here, and hopefully that reaches down to here. So we'll get that underway, but of course, that will take some time. So we're going to need a road coming up over here, and the idea here is we're going to have a road coming out over this way as well. That'll be absolutely fine. Generally speaking, I want to have roads along the canals, I feel like. It's a little awkward here because this wasn't chinampa'd. That's okay. So these chinampas over here, they are maturing. That looks absolutely fine for right now. Our prosperity is at 59 out of 60 at this moment. Culture at 59 out of 70. Culture is at 54 out of 60, and prestige is at 47 out of 50. So I think we're going to hit the prestige goal first. And I think the toughest one for us might actually end up being the prosperity. So this common home up here doesn't actually have water. That's a problem. Okay, so let's do that for now, and then we can also build a road section out here. This would then mean we want to have an alcove right here and hope that that reaches. It does. So that looks good. We'll have some diversion down over here then. And then we'd want to have a well dipper up here. I don't plan on making this have a cistern, so a well dipper would be the way to go here. And that, of course, needs a road connection right there. And then we've got space for one more thing here. And we'll see what we want that to be. But a well dipper here would be useful for sure. I thought for sure we'd have a well dipper up here, but no, we don't. Civil service, yeah, that's going to be a little tough. This needs access to more clean water, so this well dipper is not quite going to reach that. We need to switch the order of these. We need to do the well dipper, and then we need to do the alcove. We'll have range for that. So we're going to do the alcove right over here. Oh, that's not going to reach there. Okay. The well dipper has to go in the corner. For sure. We know that for a fact because we don't have clean water down here, apparently. And if we put it here, it reaches both of those. So that's good. I don't know if we have clean water up over here. We need civil service. We'll come back to that eventually, I'm sure. But what we need now is diversion here. And we need access to pottery for that. So this small market doesn't actually bring in pottery. We can have this have cloth and pottery getting, so now it'll have access to that. That's not an issue. But diversion here is. Let's see if it's actually closer over on this side. No. We are 1 tile away from being able to get that. That is unfortunate. There's nothing we can do to shorten that path. We could put it up here. That's a theoretical option. Just take this out. In fact, I'd do it kind of like this. Take that out, and then we would Chinampa everything up over here. So this would be Chinampa'd here and here. Essentially, we're Chinampaing a 3x3 area. I guess this is a 4x3 area. We're just putting in enough space to put in roads and an alcove up here. But it's going to be very awkward. So this needs to be Chinampa'd right here. And then we need to have stone canals that go out like that. And then we Chinampa this right here. There we go. And as soon as these get removed, we Chinampa those. Like that. So that's going to be enough space for the road to come out here like that and then put in an alcove here. It's kind of a wacky thing to do, but here we are. So this well dipper is now online. We have access to the water here, and that's good. We can definitely consider putting in a house or two up here. I'm going to do one here. I'm actually going to do 2 houses here because I feel like we're pretty full on housing up over this way. And we're going to be putting in more things up here, most likely. There's some space we can expand into. So that'll be okay, but it will require Chinampas. We'll have those finished up soon enough. And the idea here is that the alcove is going to go in the center of that. So the alcove is going to be going right here. As soon as these Chinampas mature, which they should be very close. Any moment now, Chinampas. There's most of them. There's a couple more. We just need that one last Chinampa to mature. Anytime now. There it goes. Okay, so the alcove can go in there. We can run a road around like this, and this reaches now. Perfect. So that'll be good. That is absolutely great, in fact. As far as civil service over here goes, we'll address that later. That's the only thing I have to say about that. We'll address that another time. That's a problem for future us to deal with. So at this point, it is time to put a cut in here, so I'm going to go ahead and do that, and next episode, we're going to continue to work on juicing these numbers, but they are definitely on the rise. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Dark Horse, Ethan Feldman, Upper Cumberland Gamers, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, The Lounge STL, Rornaz, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.